Hey guys, Sam here and welcome back to an episode of our Arsenal Career Mode series. Guys, in the last episode I asked who we should trade Edinson Cavani for, and there was one comment that caught my eye and someone told me to go in for Patrick Schick, and I think this is a decent trade to make. 24 years of age, 84 overall at Wolfsburg. I think this is a good deal, guys, to have a second choice striker of that caliber, but also someone who's not necessarily ready for a first team spot. I think it was a good move for us, and personally moving forward, I'm very happy to have him as the backup striker because he offers something a little bit different to Lacazette. And you always want two strikers that just a little bit different. Lacazette's a bit smaller, has a bit more pace. Schick is actually a little bit taller. He relies on his strength quite a lot, and he's got a really good build-up play. So two pretty different strikers, but both quality. As we move into the first game of today's episode, it is against Everton, and you guys saw how I showed the squad before the game. That is how I'd like to do it moving forward. I think it gives you guys a better idea of what the squad actually looks like rather than the Premier League graphics. It gives you guys a look at the overall and the formation just a little bit better, I believe. But we start off in our first game in the Premier League, our first game as Arsenal manager, and it's Julian Draxler, our signing, who scores the first goal of the season, absolutely turning, I think that's Tyus Browning inside out, and a outside of the foot, right-footed finish from outside the box. Filthy. Absolute filth from Julian Draxler to make a 1-0 here against Everton. An Everton team, has to be said, that always make great signings in this career mode, it seems, in FIFA 18. One of those signings being Marcus Rashford, of course, a player that I am keeping tabs on as a potential future first-team striker for us once Lacazette is out the door. And he scores a great goal, and if you go back and watch it, I was trying to catch Rashford offside. I've done this a couple of times in this career mode, and I failed pretty much every single time I try and do it, but I really thought I could have caught him offside there, and I felt it was really close. Unfortunately, not good enough, and he makes it 1-1 and brings Everton back into the game. But in the dying embers of the game, it's Kolasinac who puts in a great cross into Nathaniel Klein, who has a go at it first time, and despite the best efforts of Jordan Pickford, he did get his body in the way, but it just wasn't good enough from that range and that power from Nathaniel Klein. It was always going to find its way in the back of the net unless Pickford could get some real solid connection with it, and unfortunately for him, and unfortunately for Everton, he doesn't get it. And I think we got a deserved 3 points there against Everton. I thought we played really well, and I really liked the feel of the team. I was a little bit nervous going into this, and I still need to figure out some positions and some, I'm still figuring out this team quite a lot, to be honest with you guys. I started with Kelly in today's game. I bought Medeiros on later on in the game. I'm still trying to figure out what my best team is and where the players are. And as you can see in this game against Swansea, I'm playing a couple of different players, likes of Lato on the left, Cole on the right in terms of the defensive positions. Schick starts this game, but one thing that doesn't change is Julian Draxler has impressed me over these first two games. Well, first game, this is his second game, of course, and only being a manager of Julian Draxler for about 100 minutes, I'm already in love with this guy. He's absolutely fantastic. Schick there plays a great through ball to Aaron Ramsey, who gets an opportunity in today's game. Unfortunately, he couldn't finish it, despite what I thought was an incredible bit of play. And we do keep this 1-0 lead against Swansea. Swansea, a team that I have a relatively weird record against, to be honest with you guys, but a team we should be beating with the team we have, and it's Kelly, our boy, Mason Kelly, that makes it 2-0 on the halftime mark with a looping finesse shot of sorts. And he kind of does have a weird finish to him. I've noticed this. When I finesse shot with him, he's got a very strange finesse shot, and it might have something to do with his stats. He might have good shot power or low shot power, but very good finishing or something along those lines. There's got to be something about him because he always does looping finesse shots or really strange slow finesse shots. So at the end of the day, I went in the back of the net, so I wasn't too bothered, and he gets another rest, and Reece Nelson comes on for this game against Swansea, and I really like the feel of Reece Nelson. He plays it through to Julian Draxler, he plays it through to Patrick Schick, who gets a goal to make it 3-0, and what is complete domination here against Swansea. Perfect start to the second half, and Reece Nelson came on in the second half here against Swansea, and he was playing the second half here, and I gotta be honest with you guys, he felt very, very good on the ball. I think he plays much better than his rating. He's only rated 72 or 73, but His dribbling, his pace, and even his passing and shooting are not that bad. And speaking of shooting, Kasper Dolberg probably should have done better there one-on-one with Rui, who just came out and made a fantastic bit of goalkeeping decision there to get his arm up and made a great save. But another player that came on was Henry, of course not Thierry, Jason Henry, and he gets a chip through ball through to Patrick Schick. It was a little bit messy, it didn't actually get to him, and Schick ended up stealing it, and a great finish from him to get 2 goals here in today's game and get us a 4-0 lead. But, you know, trying to play some younger players, you know, Reiss Nelson coming on the right, Jason Henry coming on the left, you know, trying to get as many players involved to figure out who I think is the best. But Schick was incredible this game with his 2 goals, but also his build-up play was very, very good. And then Julian Draxler, I thought, was just phenomenal. Over these 2 games, he's been so impressive at the cam position, really enjoying what he brings to the team. And honestly, I just hope he can keep going with this form, because he's very, very impressive, guys, it has to be said. I don't usually use Julian Draxler. He's not a player that I've really used in career mode before throughout any FIFA, but he is a very impressive player so far from these first 2 games. We start another game here against Crystal Palace, a team that I've played twice in my managerial career. We beat them twice. I've never conceded a goal to them. And it's Lacazette who gets us off on the right foot. He gets us up 1-0 within the first few minutes, and I like getting early leads against teams because it makes them play a little bit more expansive and give us a little bit more room. What I didn't realize with Crystal Palace is that they're actually a very good attacking team. They actually have a lot of threats, and a lot of their signings are actually quite good. They've made really good signings. They've got a very strong squad. And eventually what they ended up doing was just keep pushing us back and keep pushing us back and getting more and more attacking opportunities. And unfortunately, despite the best efforts of Rui to keep that out, he does concede the goal. Really, really unfortunate stuff, and I don't know, they just kept pressuring us, and there was just nothing I could do about that. The rebound fell straight to Donis, and Mustafi wasn't there. As you can see, I go for a very late slide tackle, trying to do something to keep the ball out. Unfortunately, we can't do it. Lacazette, though, and Julian Draxler trying to get back in the game, and Julian Draxler missing that shot was the first time I thought to myself, wow, you know, he should have done something that he wasn't able to do. It was the first time really he seemed human, because up until this point he was absolutely incredible, and he really should have put that away to give us a 2-1 win. Instead, it's a 1-1 draw, and my first dropped points to Crystal Palace as a manager, unfortunately. But also dropping points in general is not something that I want to do, and going into this game against Watford, I do look at the history while I'm playing these games, and I've never beaten Watford. Fun fact, I've never scored a goal against Watford. I've had 3 0-0 draws with them, and they've beaten me once, 1-0. And speaking of 1-0, it's Dendoncker who gets them off to a good start there, off of what was actually a really good piece of goalkeeping from Rui. Another deflected goal. 2 games now where we've scored 2... Oh, sorry, no, it wasn't actually a good piece of goalkeeping from Rui. It was a good piece of defending from the post. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different chance. Unfortunately, again, despite Rui not making a save, it still is a rebounded goal, which was the frustrating part, because I felt like we could have stopped that, especially considering where Dendoncker shot from. I think we should have gotten a body in the way. But moving into the second half, Reiss Nelson again on. As you can see, he has a lot of stamina, and he was really the only player that made anything for us, and it was one chance I felt we had against Watford that was worth showing you guys. And as you can see, a lot of experimenting going on with the formation. I tried going a little bit more narrow. I feel like at this point in the episode, I haven't found where the best positions for some players are. The likes of Lamar, the likes of Draxler. Even though he was very good in the cam position, he was good in moments, and I feel like I'm still figuring this team out, and the main one really is Thomas Lamar. I feel like over these first 3 or 4 games, I haven't found the best out of Lamar. He's just wasted on the left. I decided to play him as a striker here against Huddersfield to see if that would make any difference. Maybe he is more of a left forward, maybe he's more of a central player, maybe more of a cam or more of a second striker. I was trying to figure out where Lamar's strengths were, and I thought he was pretty good at the striker position, guys, in this game against Huddersfield. Unfortunately, not creating enough clear-cut chances and not getting enough testing into the goalkeeper. Our goalkeeper was getting tested though, and I think overall Rui has been pretty good. But I subbed on Lacazette, put him in the striker position, and I put Lamar as a right forward. And instantly, Lacazette's first touch is an assist to Thomas Lamar. And I was a little bit skeptical. I was thinking, you know what, it's off of a throw. They're not really in the actual positions they're meant to be. But it was a good bit of play from Lacazette and Lamar. But Lamar was now on the right, and Lamar is a left midfielder. He has been playing left midfield for us, and other than him, we don't really have natural left midfielders. Of course, Bittencourt is a natural left midfielder, but I like him more at a cam position. But as a right forward, I actually really like the Lamar as a right forward, or even potentially a second striker to Alexandre Lacazette in the future. But for this game especially, as soon as Lacazette came on, Lamar was incredible. And I'm not sure because that was Lacazette's creativity or because of Lamar's ability to get into some good spaces. I just felt like on the left-hand side he was wasted, so there's still a lot of work to be done with this team and trying to figure out where everybody's best position is, because if I play Lamar on the right, that leaves us with really one option on the left, which is Bittencourt, and then two backup right wingers in Kelly and of course Medeiros. So we're really left with, I'm just trying to experiment at the moment, just trying to figure things out. We played a back three there against Huddersfield, which was the first time we've actually played Huddersfield as a manager, because they are now in the Premier League, and it was just a bit of an experiment, guys, and honestly, I'm not sure where the best position for some of these players are, and it's going to take me a couple months, I think, to get used to it. But we do go into this cup game against Leicester, and Schick continues his goal-scoring ability. This is only his second game for us, and that's his third goal that he's scored. He's just a machine, really. He is almost like, I wasn't really ready for him to be this good. Like, I was kind of expecting a little bit of a learning process with Schick, because I'm not the best with the bigger strikers, but he is incredibly easy to use. I will say that. If you want to sign someone in career mode, a striker that you want that's easy to use, he is extremely easy to use. He bullies his way into defenses, and that not just aerially. I mean, when he's dribbling, he can hold people off. He's very, very good passer as well of the ball, and I think he really is quite an underrated striker. I mean, he's, you know, one of the high potential strikers, but I don't think enough people give him a chance, and he definitely has impressed me. That's 4 goals now in 2 games for us, and that could have been a 5th had it not been for Kasper Schmeichel's amazing reflexes. But it's a 2-0 win here, and I didn't play too young of a side or too weak of a side here against Leicester, because I wanted to respect them. If they were a little bit smaller of a club, then I would have played more like Maitland-Niles. I would have even played the likes of Eddie. Oh no, wait, Eddie's out on loan. There's another striker that we have that's pretty good, but Maitland-Niles, I would have played Reece Nelson. I would have played some of the young guys, but I wanted to give Leicester a little bit of respect. And speaking of Leicester, we actually have a double header because we play them in the Premier League next, this time at the Emirates, and Julian Draxler is back into fine form, this time with a left-footed shot. He's ditching the outside of the foot shot. He's going with left-footed shots now, and he's continuing in some good form, which is good to see. But this was a fantastic shot, the way that moves away from Kasper Schmeichel, hitting off the post as well. I like that. I like that a lot. That was a fantastic finish from Draxler. The power on that was absolutely incredible, and he puts us up 1-0. And like I said, with early goals, I like getting the other team, the opposition, to expand a little bit more and to attack a little bit more. Once again, however, I wasn't expecting Leicester's attack to be so good, because they were holding off a couple of players in the cup game, which I noticed. I think Demarai Gray, I think, was the one that they held off, and he is rapid, and he's also larger than I thought he was. He's quite tall, so I wasn't expecting his pace and power to be such an effective thing for Leicester, but it really, really was, and we had to adjust assortingly to that. So Lamar actually gets a good little run here. He goes for a left-footed shot, and he gets a good goal. And this is now on the right-hand side for Lamar, that he's cutting in onto his left, which is just validating what I thought before. I think Lamar might be a better right-sided player compared to a left-sided player, because he can cut in onto his left. I like inverted strikers, or I like inverted wingers, I should say, and I think that he might be better on the right. I don't want to confirm anything too soon, because I still think I need to find, again, the best positions for a lot of people. But him and Lacazette, as a striker and right forward, they work really, really well, and a little bit more evidence there with some play. Probably should have finished that Lamar, but at the end of the day, we dominated Leicester in both these games. I felt very comfortable against Leicester in both these games, and as you can see, that is how our formation ended. And Lamar had a hell of a game, guys. Not as good as Julian Draxler, the man of the match, but a really, really good game. And as our first 6 games and as September comes to a close, we sit in 3rd position behind Chelsea and Spurs, both teams undefeated. We only have 1 loss to our name. We also have a draw. As you can see, Leicester doing alright in the league themselves. Liverpool are in 5th, taking with some of the other big teams. Manchester United in 7th, Manchester City in 10th. Everton in 16th, and of course I have to touch on Leeds United. Not a single win in the first 6 games, 5 draws for them, 1 loss. Really hoping they can turn that around. We actually face them in the next month or two. We play our first game against Leeds United, so that'll be nice to play them once again. But the first 6 games in August and September for me, guys, was a pretty big learning process. We started off very, very good. We started off on fire. I thought the team was perfect in those first 2 or 3 games. I was feeling really confident. A massive loss to Watford at home, which I do not want to be losing at home, guys, so that was a huge loss for me. Still, haven't picked up a win against Watford. They're only one of 2 teams that I have not picked up a win against in my managerial career. The other one is Liverpool, which I'm hoping to turn around this season. But overall, a lot of experimenting, guys. A lot of experimenting, trying to find where my best positions are and trying to see how these players perform. Speaking of players perform, that is what the Tony Adams award table looks like. I have decided to name the award after Tony Adams, Mr. Arsenal himself. It was the decision that I probably wanted to make, but I just wanted some validation from you guys. There are a couple other names that it could have been. Overall, I think Tony Adams is a good name. Julian Draxler has 10 points after a few man of the match performances from him. Nathaniel Klein, a surprise for me, but Alexandre Lacazette is tied with him on 6 points. And Patrick Schick, despite only playing 2 games, has 5 points, which is incredible. And you'll also notice that I've added our top goal scorers and top assists on the left-hand side. That'll be there for this season, because I think at some points during the Leeds United career mode, you guys didn't really know who was scoring the goals or who was getting the assist and who was performing. So this will give a good tally of the season in terms of who our top 3 goal scorers and 3 assisters. And it'll keep you guys touching base with that, so you guys don't sort of get lost within the large amount of games that we play on a month-to-month basis. That is all for today's episode, guys. If you did enjoy, do leave a like on the video. I hope you did enjoy today's video. I hope you had a good day. I will see you guys in the next one very soon. Keep it real.